to go. Okay, we're just pulling up now in about a minute or so up to the other farm where we've got 40 cattle overwintered. We've had about 3 days of frost, and we've had, I think, well, every day they've had water because it's been thawing by about 9 o'clock in the morning, so it's not been like real frozen. But we've got the last 24 hours they haven't had water, and I'm quite relaxed about that. I know they can go much longer than that without water, especially in the winter and when they're grazing frosty grass with water crystals all over it. And when they trample on it, that all turns into water anyway. And I've had days and days over the winter when they just haven't even been going to the water trough. I tested a couple of times where we walked along and we didn't give them water because I noticed they weren't going to the water trough. So I did a day and then put the water trough back, and I thought they would all just go straight back in and you're going to be crowding around the water trough, not even interested when I put the water back in. So the next time I tried 2 days, again, when I put that water back in, they're not even interested, didn't even go anywhere near the water trough. I tried 4 days and exactly the same thing. I didn't want to go any more than that. But what I always do when I was doing that is just monitoring their dung. So as long as I can see that it's good, the right consistency is fairly loose but just firm enough, then I know that they're getting what they need, and I know they've got enough moisture, and they're hydrated enough, and there's no stress issue, there's no issue there. So as long as you're monitoring it, I think it's absolutely right that they have to have freedom of access to water in some form, but some of that water can be in the grass. When we're giving them daily bite of quite a lot of grass, then there's a lot of moisture going in there as well as everything that's on the grass itself. Right, I'm just pulling up to the gate now. And we'll get sorted once we get to the field. As you can see, we've got another frosty morning, as I said in the car, and you can probably just see in here it's starting to drip off the trees now because the air temperature's no longer freezing. How on earth does this thing work? How do I know how much time's gone? Right, so I've got the camera actually fixed onto my electric, it's my mobile phone, but it's fixed onto the electric fence reel, and you can see all the boys ready. You coming over? There's still a little. They haven't really finished. I've probably given them a little bit too much, but I'm just erring on the side of caution here. This guy is always at the back. Nice chap. Here we go. So Penny Vaughan, you need to train your cattle better. Okay, I just want to have a quick look here at the dung paddies. So this is just to show that obviously there's been 24 hours without water, and I just really want to show you this is what I'll be monitoring, just to see, for those of you who aren't used to looking at this stuff, that one's obviously a bit firmer, you start to see the folds in it, but on the whole this is absolutely fine. This is quite nice, firm. See a few more rings in that one, but on the whole these are fine. I'm perfectly confident and happy. These are happy, healthy animals with as much water as ever they need. So another couple of things is just to look at where we've got the standpipe here. We're a bit exposed, it's probably more exposed than you'd ideally be, but you can see we've got the standpipe itself is a little bit of treading in around here because it's made up ground from where we put the pipe in, and they stood around the tree. But you can see we've got it on the south side, so you need it on the south side. Obviously, if you put it on the north side, then that's not, it freezes into the ground, and that's not going to thaw until sometime later in the day, if at all. So important that you do that. But obviously that's not running at the moment, so I'll show you what the contingency is and how holistic plan grazing, the planning part, is everything, and that's what it's all about. So we're going to have a look at that now. Just to show you, I've just been in about another hour. It's just started to trickle now. Now that's started to move, it will be no time at all before that's on full flow. I've got a couple more jobs to do and then I'll come and move it once it's full. Still pretty cold. It's not quite thawed, but I'm just going to show you here. Hopefully you'll be able to see. Maybe if I do it like that, I'll be able to see what we've got here. If you can see down the bottom, just here, you can see there's a strip of grass there. It goes all the way along, and where those trees are, there's a river there, and that is. I've kept all the grass along by the river. And that's part of the planning that we've got here for what happens if we get frozen water. So, looking down the bottom, we've actually got, we've probably got about a month's worth of grass there, probably a little bit less than that, as we walk down the hill. But having it there means that, if everything got really cold, I mean, we don't tend to have winters where everything's frozen for a month. That's rare, and if we get the worst winter ever, we bring them in. But that's not going to happen every year, so we save money by keeping them out. This is called the Croom River, and it's as we're walking across, actually you can get an idea. This was grazed December the 15th, so you can get an idea of regrowth here, and bearing in mind that this was actually, I wouldn't say it was trashed, but I love the way that a lot of the footprints are already disappearing. And this is year 1 on this site, so when we get to year 3, in my experience, even on heavy clay, there will be no footprints. It just doesn't impact the ground. I'm not even having to run a back fence at home, and I'll do a little video on that before too long. So this is the lake. We've probably got 3/4 of a mile of this water edge. You can see how muddy it's been with all the rain going in. That's a lot of mud coming out of arable fields further up, I imagine. But you can see we've got stockpiled forage right down to the river here. So I've saved all that. You can see everything on the bank has been grazed off, and it's looking good, starting to come back. And you can just see that frost pocket there, that north-facing section just hasn't thawed, where all of that's just thawing on the bank now. But yeah, so I can run down to the water here. I have to gate these footpaths, so it's a bit more work, but it's a lot less work than bedding cattle down. So I've got framed gates that I can use on that. That we got the local blacksmith made. So there's swinging gates within a frame. I'll show you those one of these days. But it means we've got water. The other thing about planning is there is another water trough up the top, and if we also kept the grass around up until the last minute as well. So there's a place where we could defrost a water trough if we had to, if we'd run out of this, or and so it's just making sure that wherever you have got water that's either easy to defrost, or you've got this water frontage, that you save that until the end of the season, or if you get cold weather in December, obviously you're going to use it then potentially. But overall, it just gives you that option, increases the amount of time you can keep them out, because let's say you get a month of cold weather in December and then it's mild, that means you can keep them out all winter. Whereas potentially, if it got really cold and you lost all that grazing and you had to bring them in, and then it just doesn't give you that option. So it's even if we run out and we get a complete frozen winter because of the bizarre weather patterns we're having, then at least this extends it a little bit, if nothing else. Okay, if you've got any questions, I'd love to just stick them down in the comments. You know, subscribe to the channel to see any more updates. I'd really like to see your comments. I know I get a few comments off some of you guys on Facebook and stuff asking me questions. Stick them down in the comments here, particularly on what you think about the cattle were without water for 24 hours. I'd like some feedback on that if possible. Yeah, just keep sharing what you're doing. You know, the more mob grazing and the more videos we have like this on available, just sharing what we're doing rather than anyone trying to be the expert is, you know, it's the experiences that matter, isn't it? So anyway, put the comments in and I'll see you next time.